Hi, everyone. Well, thanks so much for having me. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Thank you, John, for the invitation, and hopefully this is going to be valuable for you guys and somewhat informative. Today I'm going to show you a software program we've created called Life Design Analysis, and this was actually created by myself and a 50-year veteran of the industry, Larry Kinlan. Larry brought me into the industry. I'm more of the tech side, and he's the insurance side. And the whole goal was to work smarter, not harder. Now, we noticed there was a couple issues we wanted to tackle, one being in-force term, and one being presenting whole life a lot better, and just presenting product a lot better. You know, about 88% of people don't know the different types of insurance, so our program is created to help communicate with them. Anyone is able to sign up free for an account. In fact, we do have a 30-day free trial, and there's no visa on sign up. So we really encourage anyone to give it a try, get trained. It's a really simplistic system to use, and it really is going to make you more successful, especially at selling longer term product. So when you go to the site, you can sign up free. There's also a sample case that you can download on there. Again, all you need to enter is your first name, last name, telephone number, email, and create a password, and you're going to be good to go. You're going to have all the same access of what I'm going to show you today. Again, we do have different pricing and plans. I recommend everyone start with the Elite at least for the 30 days because you get the most value out of it. Again, there are no contracts. You can come on and off at any time you'd like. Basically, the difference between the packages are what they compare. So the basic package will just do your term and your basic standard UL. When you step up to Pro, you can do term, UL, whole life, as well as overfunded ULs, and you get more features like templates and branding of your logo. When you go to Elite, you can actually get a fully unbranded report, so nowhere does it mention LDA on there. You get to upload your logo. Not only can you compare term UL, also multiple whole life products. So it could be an overfunded UL versus a whole life, or it could be two whole life products side by side. Again, most of our users use the Elite, so I recommend at least trying that to start, and again, you can change it anytime. And that's the package I'm actually going to be showing you today. So I'm going to log into my account. Again, when you create the account, it's simply enter your email and your password and sign in. And when you get inside the system, I have a few more top menu areas, but basically there's the four main areas of the site itself. And the first one is creating a new case. So this is where you go in and you can say, okay, I want to compare any variation of products. So it could be a term 10 to term 20 in a really simple example, or a 10, 20, 30. It could be a term to a UL, or term to whole life, or any combination in between. So there's no limit really on the plans you can compare. And they are highly visual, which is really the success to LDA. Every time you do create one of those cases, it's always going to be stored and managed. So you always can go back and take a look at what you have compared and when you did it. So you have a record of, okay, for this client, I compared these products on this date. And it can be great from working a case perspective because you don't forget where you are. It's also great from a compliance perspective. You know, you have evidence of what you compared and showed them. So if, you know, say in the example of a term policy going over its renewal date, you can actually show the client, no, look, here's what we presented and this is what I was showing you back then. Going back just kind of to the main dashboard here, there's also a manage client section, and this is sort of like a miniature CRM. You can import your clients from all the major blocks of business. So you can bring your in-force policies right in there. This is really valuable because then you can start filtering and getting proactive about, you know, what clients do you want to service and look at where are your best opportunities. One example I really like to show in this is let's look for term 10s that were issued in 2006, for example. I'll just pick May 2006. And again, it's going to give me a listing here of any term 10 policy that was issued in 2006 or later. And again, these are the policies that are going to renew this year, so they might be my best opportunity to launch a case and compare product on these. And I'll get into a little bit more detail on that later. What I wanted to show you is just really simple, just a new case here, how you set it up and how easy the system is to use. So I'm going to say a new case here, and again, it takes you to which client do you want to create it on. So again, all your cases are based on clients, so all I have to do is start searching, for example, for a client, and anyone matching that description is going to show up. And this is taken from if I've created a case on them before, or if I've done the import, a listing is going to be there. Again, if I haven't created that client, I simply just click New Client, and enter the details in there. First name, last name, birth date, gender, and smoker status. Again, you can enter additional information too. That's more for the CRM portion, but for quotation purposes, just your standard information. And you would just save it. I'm going to go off my sample case today, and I've got this sample client set up here. And my sample client happens to be a 50-year-old male non-smoker. And again, I can compare any sort of insurance benefit. I'm just going to stick with $1 million here as just kind of my standard example. And when designing a case, again, like I was mentioning before, you can add any options in there. So I'll start with a really simple one. I'm going to say I want to add a term plan in here. And I want it this one I've got defaulted here to a 10-year term. Again, it's just a regular health risk, and I'm searching for my preferred companies. So you can set your preferences as far as the companies you deal with. What we might want to do is we might want to just specifically look and say, let's search for Desjardins. So all I have to do is hit search. It's going to fetch the rates for me for this specific client. And I'm taking here just the Desjardins Term 10, and I'm going to add it to the case. And so now I've got my Term 10, which is the most affordable option, but I really want to show my client, there's value in perhaps a Term 20 in the upsale there. Perhaps this is even for a mortgage and we're looking for a specific time frame. So I'm going to hit plus term again, and the only change I'm going to make here is I'm going to change this term length to 20-year term. Again, I'm going to hit search. It's going to survey the market, and this time I left it on my preferred company. Again, we can pick anyone out there. It sorts it as far as price high to low. Again, I'll pick Desjardins just to keep it simple in this case. And I have lots of controls on the case as well. So you'll notice here there's an analyze to age. This gives you the option to change the time frame of the compare itself. With a straight Term 10 to Term 20, it might just be for a specific need for 20 years, let's say, paired to a mortgage. If I was comparing a long-term product, I might say, look, we're buying this permanent insurance. Let's look at it for 99 till age 99. So as you'll see, these kind of work congruently. They work together so that you have control over what we're comparing and for how long. Again, really pairing it to the client's needs. So in this one, I'm just going to pick 20 years. I won't mess with this. This is IRR of insurance benefit and condensed charts. I won't show you those right now. We'll get to it later. But again, you can add internal notes. It could be something like, this client likes to play golf. Or it could be something on this is the stage of the underwriting at the current time. Now these are just for you. They don't go in the actual report that's produced itself. That's where the report notes come in. You can add any sort of recommendation, or I think the Term 20 fits your needs. So it could be any sort of personal note that you want in a specific case. Just scrolling down to the bottom, we also have several different components to pick from. And you can set your defaults. You can see I've selected some of these, but not all. Again, on any given case, you could turn on or off certain metrics or components. Like in a simple Term 10 to Term 20, IRR of insurance benefit may not be applicable for the average client, and it might get too confusing. I might want to remove that from the report, so I can take that out. Same as cash value. So you get to actually tailor what shows up in the report itself. So once I have everything, kind of the controls of the case that I want to compare, I've got my two plans in there, I've set my time frame. All that I need to do is click generate the report, and it's going to do all the details for me. So it's going to create the presentation, create the graphs, and compare the values. And this is really impactful on your clients because most people are visual learners. Again, about 67% of people will prefer a visual as compared to text because it's really easy to get information out of a picture. Again, here we've got the Term 10 in yellow, Term 20 in black. Really nice to have all our premiums, even from different companies, in one spot. Typically, if you were comparing multiple products, you'd either have to make your own Excel sheet or bring in pages of illustrations, and it can get very messy and confusing in a meeting. Again, we show in a visual here. Black is that Term 20, yellow here the Term 10. And again, when a client sees this, this is again paired to their time frame. They really see, yes, the Term 20 is a little bit more expensive up front, but in relation to how enormous that renewal is, they really get the perspective of why they would lock in. And so that's the annual premium. That would be the first slide. The second slide is a summing of all the premiums. So again, it's going to add up every premium dollar over time here. And again, we're going to show our client, here's the savings after 20 years, your time frame, if you pick the T20 versus the T10. And so you can see it's $64,000 versus $125. And again, such an impactful visual for the client themselves. They really easily see why you would pay a little bit more upfront for the long-term savings. Again, anytime you compare two plans within our software, we want to show you a premium deposit difference. So if we take this client out to 20 years, we see I'm saving $61,300 by picking that term 20 versus the $125 I would have paid into the term. And we also selected a cost per thousand metric as well. So this is sort of the efficiency of the plan. And I really like this one for term or for comparing different face values. Basically, it breaks it down into how much does every $1,000 of insurance cost. Obviously, the lower number is the better. And I like to think of it in terms of sort of like a mile per gallon. You could compare a Prius to a Cadillac Escalade. Very different cars, very different vehicles, but I could still do a comparison on their efficiency of fuel. And I like to think of this in the same terms of this is the efficiency of your insurance. Again, so a great visual showing, it costs less for every $1,000 of insurance with the term 20 than the term 10. And again, at any given point, if you wanted to change these metrics around, you could always go back to the case and take them, put a new one in or take this one out. It is completely customizable. Just scrolling up to the top, if you decide this is perfect, this is what I want to show my client, one step again, just click Generate PDF. And this is where it takes your logo, it brands it with a color scheme of your choice and a template of your choice, and really makes an advisor branded report. So you can see here, I've made this sample case, and I'll show you what it looks like here. So this one is our kind of our light ink template, and you can see, your logo is going to go here. You're going to upload that. Your company name goes here. You can see it's prepared for your client's name and presented by you. So again, really professional looking. You've always got it dated correctly because you don't have to worry if your template's out of date. Again, this one's got powered by LDA. You can choose unbranded if you go with the Elite. A mission statement is completely customizable as well. A lot of agents put their advisor disclosure in there, and you can see here that custom message that we put in this specific report, as well as any disclaimer you want to add in there about E&O or dividend information, that sort of thing. So again, this is completely customizable, could be a brand philosophy, and I'll show you how you can change that around in a moment. And again, anything we compared in the plan is going to show up here. So you can see all the charts we created and the metrics we pick show up in the actual report itself. Again, it looks like you took a couple hours making this, but in reality, it was a couple of clicks away. So the idea is that it's going to save you time, and again, it's going to resonate with your clients because it's going to just back up what you're saying in a visual in a way they can understand. So that's perfect. So that's one. Again, at any time, I can go back to the case here itself and say, okay, I may want to change this around. Say a term 10 versus term 20 is great, but the client indicates their need is maybe more long-term. Well, of course, I can click Add a Universal Life in here. I have it defaulted to term 100. And again, I can pick specific companies as well or search the entire market. So in this one, I'm just going to say, let's stick with the Desjardins. Let's take a look here. And it'll search the market and say, okay, we have the foundation and the precision. Which one do we want to go with? I'm going to pick the more affordable one here, the $12,000 one, and add that to the case. And so now you can see I've got a term 10, 20, and a UL here. The only change I want to make here is I want to change it to age 99. And again, I'm just going to generate the report here just to show you over a longer term with 3 products in there that there is no limit. So essentially here we see term 10 renews, again at 20 years renews again, all the way till it expires. That term 20 takes the 20 years, again, still hits that same renewal. And again, you can see it's kind of hiding it there. If at any point you wanted to get rid of one, the legend is fully interactive, so you can fully take a client through this. Again, when you add up the premiums, you're going to see, yes, it's more affordable before it expires altogether, and you get to keep that product, which is such a huge portion of it. We really want to know we have our insurance in place. Again, we're going to sum up all the premiums here and show you just the direct costs of it, or any cost per thousand, or any other metrics that you've picked. Just before I create the PDF on this one, I just want to show here really quickly in the account settings, if we really wanted to change the look and feel of this, here's where we would upload our logo. You can see I've picked color scheme 10 currently. I'm going to change this to really make it a lot different, the report. I'm going to select template 2 as well, and you can see we have lots of different options. And I can even change things like no branding. I can take out any mention of LDA in there as well. This is where you customize sort of your mission statement or your disclaimers. And you always have the contact information to leave behind. So if you are emailing it, things like your website or clickable links, as well as contacts to get in touch with you by email. even things like default report components. As you start to use the software, you might find certain metrics are your favorites, others aren't, so you can customize that and take them in and out. Again, one other nice feature we have is our Life Guide feed, which means we can survey the rates directly from Life Guide. And if you are a Life Guide subscriber, you actually get a 50% discount on our services as a result of Omni providing the rates for us. So you can actually set your preferred companies in there. If you want to search for only renewable and convertible, all those sort of options, you can set your preferences. So once you've set your preferences or made any changes, just click Save. And I'm just going to quickly flip back to kind of that last case we presented, just to give you an idea when you generate the report, how you can change the look and feel of these. If you remember before, we had sort of that light ink template. This one I've given kind of a more robust, a heavier look to it. So it's a little bit more, it's a little heavier on ink, but it's got a little bit more substance in the template. And you can see now it's all blue. So you really get to fit the color with your brand itself, and so it looks really professional. Again, here we've got 3 plans all in one spot. And I mean, you can imagine how many pieces of paper are generally involved with 3 different quotes, trying to compare them and shuffle around in a meeting. Here we have all of them condensed in one place. And there's no limit to really how many you can add into a report. I like to stick with kind of the maximum of 4, just because, after you give your client too many options, that's sort of getting into the same problem. We want to show them our recommendations and why we would pick certain plans. So again, it takes them through the flow. Again, showing you these products expire, we actually get to keep this one and any other metrics that you've picked. Just really quickly here, I want to show you, if you did email this out and your client says, oh great, I got to get in touch with them, links are all clickable. So if I click this, it'll take me right into my mail browser, and I'll be able to send an email. Okay, so we'll close that out. Now I'm going to go back to this case here again, and again, I just want to show you how you can add whole life in there as well. Whole life is really where our product shines. So I'm going to say whole life, and as you can see, Desjardins is in there. So I'm going to click Desjardins, and with whole life, we do have the rates. However, it's all about the accurate cash values, and really the only way to get those is from the manufacturer software. So if we click on Desjardins here, we're going to see I've drawn up a quote here for a 50-year-old man. I did the life pay, or sorry, a 20 pay on the whole life, guaranteed whole life product. There's basically, you click 2 buttons. So you say, I want to view the spreadsheet, and I want to export this spreadsheet to Excel. So it's got all this data on the actual plan we created. Even if you put term riders in there or policy loans, anything that you can design in the manufacturer software is going to be reflected in ours. Just give that a moment here. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to put out this quote that we did here to Excel. Now there's a couple ways we can actually get it in there. One is by just selecting everything. So I just did a Control A, and I'm going to just right click and say copy. And all I have to do here is come back to Life Design Analysis, and I can even right click on this button here and just say paste. And that's really all you have to do. The whole life quote is now brought in here. I've got Desjardins whole life versus any other option I've picked. And again, I'm just going to regenerate this report and really show you how it displays whole life and why it's really beneficial. Again, you're going to notice some things like whole life is really prominently pronounced in green, showing it's a really great option for your client. Whereas, say, if I compared it to an existing Term 10, the existing Term 10 would be red, and I'll show you that in a moment as well. So again, we've got our 4 plans here, sort of taking them through our term options, our UL, and our whole life. And again, just a very simple graphic to show, you do pay 20 years. It offsets into a 0 premium versus slow and steady here with the UL, and your term that sort of is initially low, but then explodes. And when we sum that all out, you can see actually it is about the same price as the term at that renewal point. It becomes more affordable than the UL, but only at around age 85. Now we know we put in this extra money for the cash value. So that's our next slide. So when you add a whole life product or anything with cash value, we show you here, red is what you've paid in premiums, and green's your total cash value. And many of our agents say this slide sells more whole life for them than anything they've done before, because a client immediately looks and sees, okay, I see at 20 years I've got more cash in the policy than I've paid, and it just keeps growing. And people really, really like that aspect of it. Again, because our charts are all interactive, I can do things like I can get rid of the sum of premiums, and I can put in how much of this policy is guaranteed. Now with Desjardins, of course, it's all guaranteed, but it's a great visual to show, especially if you're comparing, say, the guaranteed cash value of Desjardins whole life versus, Canada Life or someone where the whole product itself is not guaranteed. So again, a great way to compare different whole life products within our software. You can even overlay 2 whole life plans, show their total guaranteed or reduced cash values next to each other. So just a really neat way to use kind of the interactive portion. Again, we want to show the value of that insurance. So, here is the sum of premiums versus your insurance that you get. And finally, a presentation summary. Here is all the premiums paid versus all the cash value. And when you do a whole life to whole life quote, it'll actually show you the differences in cash value, differences in insurance benefit, and really break down where the dollars go and what's the cost versus the benefit. We also have metrics for things like alternative investments. This is, the client who says, well, I'll put that same money from the whole life in an investment, and how will I fare? Well, we match it at whatever interest rate you choose. Again, you can pick this around, but essentially the idea is, you'd have to make 5% in the market to net 2.5. How does that compare to the whole life with an insurance benefit? So if we run this out for 20 years, you can see they've got slightly more money in this example. If you could guarantee 5 at the bank, you'd have 554 with 0 insurance. Here, we have almost as much, 500,000 basically, but we have a whole $1 million of insurance. So if anything happened along here, we would actually have a substantially greater payout. And it's just a really, a great stat to show people as to, not only is it a good investment vehicle, but it also has the insurance. It's sort of the icing and the cake. And again, any other metric we pick, cost per thousand. So if this is something we say, okay, perfect, this is what we want to create for the client, we just, again, simply have to generate a PDF. And again, our whole report, exactly as we customized, is all done here. The system is even very smart in the fact that if I do a 20-year offset, it knows that, and it will give me a little call out saying, okay, at 20 years, here's how much you paid, $438, the cash value of the policy, $494. So really key points are always brought out. Insurance, we want to show them at age 85. Here's your total insurance benefit. And again, anything linking back to the site itself, if they actually want to get in touch with me, they can click right through to the site, which would be your website in the case when you design your report itself. And if I just go back here really quickly, I'm going to show you, again, anything we work on is going to be managed, so we have it here. And if we do, even go into, let's say, our managed clients, if we've done the import and brought in our clients, whenever we're looking at a term 10, for example, I can pick this one. I could take a look at the client details itself. I mean, our program itself here is all responsive, so you can access this on a tablet to present. You can access it on your phone if you just quickly need to get some policy information. One of the nice things, like if I was doing this 10-year term, again, I've got here my policy information. I can say, okay, let's generate a new case on this. It knows the insurance benefit. I'm going to say, let's add a term 10 and import this data. And again, it's importing the premium. All I have to do is put in the renewal schedule and generate a case. And again, our software works extremely well with managing existing term plans. And I've actually got one here. Just give me one moment here. I'm going to go to my manage cases. And I'm just going to pick this one because I've got an existing term 10. Now this is $2 million for a young guy. You can see I've entered this in here. It's issued in 2012, so it's only 3 years old. But again, really showing people their options. I'm going to hide the term 20 for now. And again, I'm just going to generate the report just to show you really quickly how it presents an existing term 10. So knowing that this one is 3 years old, what we'll see is for the first 7 years, we still have our nice low premium. But then we get to see how the renewal schedule fills out from there. Again, green X represents conversion option expiring, red X meaning the plan expires. So again, you can illustrate existing term policies in there, and we do all the calculation as far as showing how close you are to the renewal, when it expires, without you having to worry about formatting charts or anything like that. So essentially, that's the system in a nutshell. Again, we have full support, so if you do sign up, it's not as if you're on your own. We are going to get you trained. We're going to get in touch with you. If you ever have any questions, again, you can click on our support. We have live chat. We also have a help center which has guides on pretty much how to do everything I showed you today, including importing your block of business, how do you do certain examples and cases. We also have a YouTube channel, and I do pretty much a video every week where I show you certain features like how do you import the policy information on a case, how do you do a client review. We even have how to customize your account settings, or how do I apply my Life Guide discount code. Again, that's the 50% discount if you're currently subscribed to Life Guide. Even things like term rewrite versus permanent. Now, I know a lot of you were probably thinking when I showed that term 10 versus term 20, well, no one takes that term renewal. We can illustrate both ways. So we can show it even if you were healthy and took the risk and applied for new meds, how would a term policy look compared to, say, a permanent product? And again, essentially it assumes that the person's going to be healthy, but we can still illustrate it that way. Even, you have the client who says, I'm going to delay my term conversion because I still got 3 more years left on this affordable term 10. Well, you can show them, even if they wait, how that plays out versus converting today. So you can show them that there's more value in their age at being younger today than there is in that 3 years of cheap term that they have left. And you can also illustrate critical illness with return of premium on cancellation or death. So it's not just limited to life insurance. You can do CI and DI. Again, we have within our, if I just pop back here, within our case itself, we have options for a lot of different kind of more complex but manual functions. So if I add this whole life, for example, what it lets me do is paste individual columns as far as things like cost, cash value, insurance benefit. And you can see it goes on and on. Basically anything you'd find on sort of that manufacturer's spreadsheet, we allow a manual input where you can get a little bit unique because you can do some sort of things that aren't maybe a standard illustration. You can do sort of different concepts and things like that. So lots of different ways to get information in the system. Again, if you are interested, I really encourage you visit the website www.lifedesignanalysis.com, or you can Google it. Again, sign up free. There's really no risk, no credit card entered. 30-day free trial will get you trained, and again, it's going to save you a lot of time and increase your success, especially with permanent products. Knocks off a couple of your compliance tabs because you're keeping in a better track of your customers and what you're presenting to them. And again, we're rapidly developing, so if you have new features and questions and things like that, we're definitely out there to help the agent. So essentially, that's the system. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, you can email us at info@lifedesignanalysis.com, or you can even give us a phone call. We have our toll-free number, 1-844-532-4636. So that's 1-844-LDA-INFO. And please, if you're interested, go to the site, download the sample report, and do get in touch with us. So thank you so much for your attention, and look forward to your responses. Take care.